Hey guys, it's Cardale Jones and Tyvis Powell. Join us on Roommates as this episode, as we talk about replacing key players for the Buckeyes, and the shoe could potentially be at capacity.
And also, we're going to talk about how the loudest we've ever heard the shoe when we was playing. And also, we're going to talk about the Buckeyes opening up against Minnesota on Thursday night.
Welcome back to another week of Roommates with Cardale Jones, myself, and Tyvis Powell. Tyvis, man, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. You know, hanging out. Glad I got to see my boy the other day, man. Look, you looking good. I was like, look at you, boy. I need the number to your Taylor.
It was a good time. Opening week of Urban Meyer's Chop House. We had a pretty cool event there where the Buckeye Crews raised a lot of money, sold a lot of things for this upcoming, I guess, Buckeye Crew season as we get ready to go down to Fort Lauderdale and pretty much attack cancer, man. So excited about that. And thank you for everybody for coming out to the Chop House in support of not just Urban Meyer, but the Buckeye Crews for cancer and everything we do with those guys. So that was big. That was fun. It was good to see a lot of guys, Tyvis, Josh, Chris Fields, and a number of other guys. You had freaking Terrence Dow and then, of course, Sellers. So that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was definitely a good time, man. And Urban, it was beautiful, man. He actually, like, when I walked in there, I wasn't expecting it to look as nice as it did. So I definitely will be going back. I tasted the steak. The filet tastes like butter.
Yeah, looking forward to getting back there. But let's dive into some Ohio State football, man. One of the biggest questions we've been getting, one of the biggest things you see out there on social media the last couple of weeks is how do we replace, as Ohio State, how do we replace key players like Justin Fields, like our center who went second round to Green Bay, like, you know, linebackers who've been playing for the last 3 or 4 years. How do we replace those guys? And if we have to replace those guys, who are the guys we are turning to?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna let you handle the offensive side of the ball, but defensively, it's definitely gonna be real tough to replace 3 linebackers. That I don't even know if that's been done like that. Like, that's kind of weird and kind of a new thing, but like, especially the Mike linebacker, the Mike be the most important one because, he's the one that gets everybody in line when things isn't going well. He knows all the checks and adjustments and stuff like that. He's the voice of the defense. And to lose a tremendous leader like that, that's tough. But with that being said, Ohio State recruits well. It seems like every time this situation happens, the question always is, how will Ohio State respond now that they ain't got such and such anymore? And every year they do, it seems like they answer the bell. It's always some guy that's ready to step up and make plays that we might not have even thought about. So I know Coach Mick is going to definitely have them ready. And then another key position was our Tommy. We lost Tommy. And for people that don't know, like, having a defensive tackle, a nose tackle like that, like, you need that attitude on defense. That's the one who kind of dictates the run game. Like, he's the one that brings that pressure. Like, I remember when we were playing, we had Mike Bennett. Mike Bennett was our nose tackle. And when Mike B left, like my last year playing, Tommy was great, but Mike B brought presence to the middle, like, of that line. Like, he was bringing pressure down the middle, and we had Joey Bosa on the outside, so it was really nowhere for the quarterback to escape. So to have that pressure down the middle is huge because it allows the back end to really play tight coverage, and now you have nothing to do. And replacing that is like, can make a defense or break a defense. I think defensive tackle is definitely one of the main positions we need to address. I mean, we do have Haskell coming back, so that's great. But we use 2, so we need another one to step up and make those plays as well.
Yeah, for sure. It is definitely important for the nose tackle positions. Thinking of Bennett, man, bringing up some memories with him, man. He was so good at keeping the double team off the linebackers. Absolutely. At that point where you got to think about it like a team like Ohio State, where we like to run the ball in between the tackles, but in particular in between the guard and the center. So a lot of inside zone and making our running back make the move on the second level because we had such dominant guys inside with Wyatt and Josh to get up and so athletic to get up to these double teams and get off the three techs in the nose and get up on double team. And now a guy like Trey Sermon and a guy like Master T can make his move. He's not getting touched. He's 4 or 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. Right. Now, hey, the offensive line did their job. Now the rest is for you. So my biggest points, my biggest guys, clearly, I'm gonna stop trying to be so biased with the quarterback position. But my biggest test to me personally, what I would like to see Ohio State replace and the guys to step up is the center and the guards position, because like I said, you lost a lot. You lost that core, and that core, like you just said about the defensive tackle, on defense, he controls and he's a big part of stopping that run. Well, the center and both guards are the biggest part of controlling the run, definitely when it comes to inside zone. So I would like to see them address that position. I'm pretty sure they have. I mean, we talking about coaches. These are world-class coaches and world-class recruiters. So if we didn't have it, I'm pretty sure we did have it in reserve. Best believe we got some guys coming in who can fill these voids. So looking forward to that, because that run game opened up a lot in the passing game. And you can just, especially in the Ryan Day's offense, you can just go back and ask a guy like a JT Barrett, his last year with him, Dwayne Haskins, and then clearly Justin Fields. So it's going to be big replacing those two guys. Well, those three guys up front, mainly those two with the center and with Josh and Davis. But we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. But like you said, man, you gotta have a nose guard to be able to keep those double teams off your linebackers, so they can just come downhill and make some plays.
I tell you what, and if they ain't there, Coach Mick gonna make one of his own season for sure. So it's gonna happen.
Yeah, Coach Mick Marotti, man, that really, man, to me, one of the most key components of the whole program, and not the whole athletic program when it comes to football, because he spends so much time with these guys, him and his staff, getting these guys mentally and physically ready for a coaching style that's going to be hard, for a camp that's going to be extremely hard, for a season that's going to be the hardest thing these guys have ever been through. You know, because Coach Mick has won on so many different levels and so many different places in college football. He knows what it looked like. And absolutely, you have no choice but to adapt to, I wouldn't say his system, but his style.
No, he has to. I tell you what. I tell you a real quick story. This is when I knew Coach Mick was crazy. So the first meeting, right? He, Coach Meyer, because we came there early, so Coach Meyer was addressing the team, and he goes, Coach Mick starts explaining like his style of coaching. He says, have y'all ever heard of the phrase where you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink? And everybody's like, yeah. He goes, if you take that horse by the back of the head and forces his head in the water, I guarantee you some water will get in his mouth. Oh my goodness, this is serious, right? Yeah. But he 100% correct though. So yeah, you have no choice but to adapt. And if you don't adapt to it, they will weed you out, and it's gonna be miserable. So it's best to just go in with the mindset that you're ready to attack.
That's funny, man. I remember that story because we were sitting in the back of the room. Like, oh my God, it's our first college experience. These guys are crazy. And then I remember also a story Coach Meyer shared with us about something similar to that, and getting guys to pretty much buy in and to go all out for each other. When I'm not going to name this coach, I'm pretty sure this was super illegal what he did. But he said it was an NBA coach, one of the greatest NBA coaches, and has won championships as a front office manager the last 8 to 10 years. And I put like this, he was part of the program down in the Heat when Miami had Dwayne Wade, LeBron, and Bosh. Clearly, you know who I'm talking about. But I do. It's that, but the coach was somewhere else at this point. He said the coach had like kind of a team cookout or whatever over, and they was all hanging out. And he took one of his players out of nowhere. He took one of his players' heads and dunked it into the water, to the water where the ice had melted in the water. And he's forcing his head down, and that guy's doing everything he can to finally get his head out of there. He's looking at the coach, what the hell are you doing? And going crazy. And the coach told me, when you want to win as bad as you want to take the next breath, that's when you develop a winning team and all that other stuff. Which was a great analogy for what we were going through at that point. Definitely, 2012 when the coaches just came in, but. Don't even want to talk about that because 2012 scarred me for life. So anyway, back to more important things, man, with the Buckeyes. Word around town is that they are considering having the shoe filled to capacity this fall. How big is that for this pretty much in key positions, this young team in key positions that don't have a lot of experience playing because you're losing so many great guys, 10 guys just got drafted. How big is that for those young guys, especially on defense, to have to have that 13 pretty much guy on the field with the crowd? Because if the shoe can be filled to capacity this year, it's going to be hard. I mean, it already sells out. It's going to be hard getting ticket. It's going to be the hottest ticket in pretty much the Midwest by far when it comes to
get to go all last year for sure.
Exactly. People try to come in there and be a part of that. And just thinking about all the seniors and who missed out on the opportunity to, because people, like seniors in college, they will put off graduation in the spring just to have their tickets for the fall football season. They will put that off. That's how important it is to those guys. So it sucks that they can have that. But how big do you think it's going to be for the Buckeyes to have capacity of the shoot?
Listen, it's definitely going to be a game changer. That it's the energy, like to make a big play, and just hear that reaction, man. And then, especially on third downs, man, it's really a game changer. It helps us on defense because it's all that energy. We feed off of that energy. The offenses can't hear and make checks and adjustments. So it's like they got to, whatever they call it, they got to run it because they can't check out.
For the most part.
Yeah, so that, and that's for a young guy, just to hear those people behind you, it's very motivating. It's like, I want to make a play for my, not just for my teammates, but for my school. Everybody's watching. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. So it's gonna be huge, especially if they're talking about it during Oregon, which would be huge. Oregon's historically always a great team. So, to have that full capacity, they're gonna definitely need that.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like you said, coming in home opener versus a top opponent in Oregon. But we know what happened last time we played those guys, so I'm pretty sure they could be licking their chops and trying to get some revenge back on us. Definitely at the shoe. So I think especially with an offense like that, I mean, you played against a high-paced offense, want to get down and want to get the ball snapped. I think they was averaging 15 or 16 seconds per snap, including the play call and getting it ran and getting the signals.
Yeah, I'm having a relapse, cardio. So, don't do that.
So I think that would definitely slow that offense down a little bit. Especially, like I said, it's going to be rowdy the first game in the shoe. And I can only imagine how loud it's going to be if they're going to allow full capacity. And speaking of how loud that week 2 is going to be for the Buckeyes, what is the loudest you think, in your opinion? It could have been going to Ohio State games through recruitment. It could have been playing there. It could have been coming back as a veteran, as an alumni of Ohio State. What's the loudest you ever heard the shoe?
That's a good one, actually. The one that chops off at the top of my head is our last when we played Penn State in the blackout game.
The first ever.
Listen to me. That game was so loud, 12, that I literally had a headache after the game. I tell you what, they came out and they showed out. Plus, it was cold. I think it was only like 20 degrees or something like that, but all that energy, man, you didn't even feel no weather, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember not being able to even talk to Vaughn, and Vaughn literally stands maybe 6 steps away from me. I could not talk to Vaughn. I had to do my hand signs to him and stuff like that.
So out there gang banging.
Yeah. Out there throwing on my hood. But anyway. But yeah, I definitely think that was by far one of the loudest games that at the shoe that I remember.
I think I'm gonna have to agree with you, man. That game was pretty loud in the crowd, and the energy was just insane. The first time ever, blackout at the shoe, and it was crazy, man. But I would have to say between that one and 2013 when we played Wisconsin, and the headline was pretty much Bradley Roby versus Jared Abracadabra. That's what I call it. He wore number 4. He was a receiver from freaking Wisconsin, and he was really freaking good. Yeah, so that was the headline, man. And I think that game really came down pretty much to the wire, if I can remember correctly.
It did. Yes, it did.
At the very end, we had an unfortunate injury. Yeah, because at the very end, we had an unfortunate injury to one of our key players, Christian Bryant. And that pretty much hurt us in the long run. But yeah, so I think between those 2 games definitely was the loudest. And it's crazy to only time as an offense or you on the field when you really feeding that energy is when pretty much a touchdown or when you first running out, that you really get all that energy from the crowd that's going to be like this on defense. You guys getting that on pretty much
we get it
every play and definitely on third down situations. So, I mean, I'm a part of that because I'm on the sideline going crazy too, pumping up the crowd and yelling. And like, it's my opportunity to go freaking ballistics as well, just like the crowd. So, but it'd have been pretty sweet to, I mean, I've been on the receiving end of that with, going down when we played in the Sugar Bowl. It's pretty much like a home game for Alabama. And, third down, I got pretty rowdy on top of being in an enclosed environment. But man, nothing like the shoe though. And then another loud one, man, is Penn State in 2014 as well. I think I played one snap and I got in on third down. I couldn't hear anything.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, it ain't no feeling in the shoe when that third down comes, you hear that boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
They definitely go crazy, man. And I don't know what's the rules out in Minnesota, but Ohio State, they opened up the season with the Big Ten opponent out of Minnesota Thursday night football. And I don't know if they're going to allow Minnesota to have capacity or what forms of crowds and things like that. But if that's the capacity, if that stadium's at capacity, and we played at Minnesota once, at the time we was at Ohio State.
Oh my God!
The coldest game I ever played.
Oh my God! My Lord,
dude, that's the only game I probably ever prayed not to get in. Keep it close. Keep it close.
Wait a minute, Cardale. You don't understand. Bro, I have never, ever in my life been more motivated to get off the field on third down so I can get back to that heated sideline. My goodness. Hey, they smart enough to play them early in the season this year. They smart for that one.
Yeah. You got Ohio State going in there on Thursday night, and Minnesota lost a few key players as well with Bateman and a couple other guys going to the draft, and good luck to those guys. I know some of those guys personally, but how big is it going to be for Ohio State to kind of overcome that adversity if they're going to be allowed to? I mean, a road game is tough, period, because of the changing environment, the routine you have to develop, and just the whole everything of it. It's tough, period. When you add in that extra element of a crowd that's going to be just as hungry as any crowd in America, because they'll be able to finally cheer on their schools and support their guys. How big is it for Ohio State and Ryan Day to get these guys ready, knowing that you got to replace some of those key players in those situations that it wasn't just as big as them because they've done it before? How big is that going to be, Ryan Day?
It's going to be a lot. It's huge. It's going to be a huge task, I would say, because, this isn't the same like old Minnesota. Like Minnesota used to kind of be, kind of near the bottom of the Big Ten, but now as of lately, they're a team that's looking to upset the top teams in the Big Ten. They always have that dog mentality. They are a very scrappy team, well coached. And to have their fans behind them, I mean, that's going to be huge. They definitely going to feed off of that energy. And, obviously the everybody views the Buckeyes as like the freaking New York Yankees. It's like, we come to town, everybody want to, how good would it be to upset the Buckeyes, especially the first game of the season. So, I mean, I don't think Ohio State needs to like any extra motivation. I mean, they should know what's at stake and they should know what's coming. I mean, they're going to definitely do a great job of letting them know that like Minnesota is serious, so don't take them lightly. And I think everybody that we even question, this will be a great test game for them. They'll get to know where they're at, because Minnesota definitely is a well-coached team and a scrappy team, like I said, and they're gonna have to bring that dog mentality to get this one for sure.
Sure, and in Minnesota, you look at them the last couple of years, Brennan, it's always that one game that slips them up every year for representing. Because they're on the opposite side of the Big Ten, right? Minnesota, they're on the west. So it's always that one game that really slips them up from not allowing them to represent the West in the Big Ten championship game. And you can go always back to it as either Michigan or Wisconsin or something like that. But I think this is going to be a huge test, and I think it's great to get this test early on in the season and not some of those lesser opponents that pretty much build up your confidence. Like, hey, we throwing you guys in the fire. Minnesota's a great program. Hofstad's a great program. Let's get this season started off right. And this you never know, a win or a loss to either team can do this to this team or can do this to this team going on to the rest of the season. So I'm excited for it, but I think, when we talk about that crowd factor and you're replacing, for one, your play caller up front, which is your center, who's making sure, because he's identifying the front every time, because that's going to change on certain blocks and inside and outside zone, or who double teaming or who blocking back, et cetera. And then you got your coach on the field, your quarterback, and your new quarterback is going to be able to, needs to be able to communicate to the whole offense when it comes to certain checks and certain looks, like you were talking about. But how difficult it's going to be versus a hungry, loud, energetic crowd. And you can practice those situations. You know how we turn the music up in practice, obviously, and the crowd noise. But
it's different.
The real test is when you get out there. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, and I'm anxious to see how these guys respond to a bit of adversity early on in the season. Because like I said before, this won't be a cakewalk for either team.
Not at all.
So
it's the first game, so they're still going to be trying to work things out. This is the first time, they're going against somebody other than themselves. So everything is not going to go the way they think. So it's going to be kind of sloppy for a while. But towards the end of the game, start smooth down. That's when one team will separate themselves from the other.
It's all about how you respond and making adjustments and making things and making them go on a route. And I'm looking back to last year versus Indiana, how Ohio State adjusted at halftime and came out on fire. So like I said before, we got some of the greatest coaches in college football, and I'm pretty sure they're up for the task clearly, and they're gonna have these guys ready to roll.
Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind. I think, they're, especially coming off what they came up with last year, I think they're extremely motivated. They've been there. They obviously, I would compare it to the time when we went to the Big Ten championship at Michigan State, and then went on with the Clemson. That next year we was highly motivated. It was nothing that was going to stop us from trying to get that chip. And we got to them championship games. We made sure we right those wrongs. So I can definitely see them doing the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully our Buckeyes are back in the semifinals and, have an opportunity to play for the national championship this year. But it always goes through the Big Ten first, a Big Ten championship game. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves too much, but thanks again for joining us for another week of Roommates with Cardale Jones and Tyvis Powell. Join us next week as we talk more Buckeye football and what's to come.